In this video, part 1, I create the hardcover for our Maxi 2-in-1 interactive wedding photo album. Follow along step by step with a removable cover where you can add more photos, journal in there. It's also got an insert and a pocket where you can add more photos. Here is a photo, a 6x4 photo. Again, just pop it back in its pocket, click it back onto its cover. It's not going nowhere. Held by magnets. A fun way to present an album. Now in the front cover I create a waterfall. Now the waterfall holds 12 6x4 photos. Snaps into place with the magnetic little latch. Then we go on to our little albums. All in all, we have 6 albums, which are all removable. Now each album holds 38 photos, so 6 albums in total. You can store 228 photos. The albums can be shared around when you have family and friends over and enjoy the memories of your day. You can also organise your photos from morning to night in order. Again, another fun project. I do hope you stay with me to the end and create one for yourself. Hi everyone, my name is Kat. Welcome to my channel. If you do like this type of craft, I do hope you consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, even the like button. It really helps my channel. Thank you. Let's get started. Now all in all you need 6 pieces, 10.5 by 2 3/4, 10.5 by 7.5, one of each of course, 10.5 by 2 5/8, 10.5 by 7 3/8, 10.5 by 1 6/8, and 10.5 by 7 1/4. Now the chipboard I'm using is 3mm. Now I start gluing in order, starting with the 2 3/4 bit. Now the paper stock that I'm using is 220 GSM. It's actually pattern paper that pattern makers use to make their patterns. It's very strong and durable, does not rip very easily. I use this for a lot of my projects. Leave about a quarter inch gap in between each piece, just to allow for, well, this is where you'll get your ripping if you put them too close, because there's no room for movement. So always leave a quarter of an inch roughly, a little bit less, but not too much more. And then just go on to glue your pieces in order. Like I said, starting with 2 3/4, then your 7.5 bit, 2 5/8, and so on. Use a ruler so you make sure your line is straight. Otherwise your album will be all wonky. And once I've glued down my last bit, I'll go over it with my bone folder, burnish it, Don't really worry about some of these little lumps. They do dry out flat, but try and burnish it and get it as flat as possible. And cut off any excess. Now with my corners, I leave about 2-3 mil just to be able to tuck it in, to have a nice crisp corner, just as I'm showing you here. Then with my scoring tool, I go right around the edges. Just makes it easier when you're folding your paper over. Fold it in, burnish as you go. Just helps with the gluing at the end too. I do that to all 4 ends. And then go on with double-sided tape just on the end of the tabs. Then I'll go around and burnish all the double-sided tape. And now we're ready to start gluing down. I start with the long ends first, making sure I get glue in all those edges where the board meets the paper. And then just go on doing the same on the other side. See, the double-sided tape holds it down so that it gives time for the glue to set. And then when you get to the smaller side, you just tuck the corners in as I've shown you here. Just gives a nice crisp corner. Now that our folder is all covered, I go down and guide the cover into place. As you can see here, it is a wraparound, and this is what basically you should be left with. I run the bone folder across the edge to give a nice square finish. Now we're ready for our magnets. Now the magnets I'm using are 15mm. I did get them off Amazon ages ago, so I couldn't even give you a link. But what I do is I draw around the magnets, because I actually cut the circles out, not to go right through, just to cut off probably 1.5 mm, just so that the magnets won't protrude. It is tedious, but it's worth it. Pull out the excess as I'm doing here, and then just push a magnet in and it should be flush with your board. And then go on to do the same with the other 3 magnets. Remember, when you put your magnets down, that positive side of your magnet is facing up. Now just cover with some double-sided tape. Burnish down, and then I put another 4 magnets on top. Put double-sided tape on the magnets. Remove the cover of your double-sided tape. And then guide them where you're going to place them for your closure. And there you go. Again, I do the same as I did previously. I draw around, cut out, not right through, just about 1.5 mm into your board, just so it sits flush and you don't have your magnets protruding, and go on to cut them out. Make sure your magnets are all facing the right way, right positive to negative. Put your double-sided tape down, burnish, and now your magnets are in place, and this is what it should look like. Now we're ready to cover the inside. I just basically cut the cardstock 4 mil shorter than my cover, on both ends, or 3 ends. And of course I'll have to join pieces, so it'll be 3 pieces. And just go on to glue them as I'm doing here. I add a little bit of extra glue on the hinge, just so that I make sure that it's glued down well there. There's no possibility of it coming apart. Burnish it down really well. Now when gluing the second piece down, I try not to overlap it, just get it as flush with the first piece, because you really won't see the join anyway. Again, some glue down the spine. Just try to butt it up against the first piece as much as you can. Takes me a couple of tries, but that's the good thing about glue. Again, burnish down really well, especially where the spine is. And the last piece. Don't forget to remove your tape from your magnets. Again, butt it up as close as you can to the second piece, and your cover is done. Now I allow it to dry, and then slowly I coax my folder into shape. Just burnish and take your time. And basically your cover's complete, ready for part 2. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you're here to the end, thank you, and I'll see you in part 2. Thank you very much.